The meanest thing anyone says is that you just keep yelling copium at me whenever I say anything positive about World of Warcraft. Copium. Copium. We've got copium here. And that's fine. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. This is Grinding Gear. I'm Garrett Weinzierl here as always with Kyle Ferguson, and it has just been a damn awesome end of the year for us. We've been wanting to put more time into YouTube, Kyle, and the response to starting to do Final Fantasy XIV videos has just been amazing. So we thought we would have a little chat today about how the hell we got here.
Yeah, a little cap to the year, a little 10,000 sub celebration. Thank you everybody who's sub if you haven't. This has been quite the journey. In fact, the journey is an emotional one chronicled in old news videos as well that weren't labeled Final Fantasy.
In terms of like how we got into this game, what was it like, man? How much of an absolute pain in the ass was it to break me down?
I've done this before with things like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon in the past. You don't force it on the person. You just leave on Star Wars enough that they eventually go, all right, what's this movie about? Like you just kind of bring it up enough. You keep playing the card game in front of them and eventually they're like, John, fine, just get me a deck, I'm bored. And they will join. That's my strategy.
I feel like, I don't know if you meant to be as insidious as you were, but the fact that we had originally dusted this channel back off to start covering gaming news stories, and you're like, well, it's basically a news story. Just put on your analytical hat and just dive in and look at it from a curious perspective of, well, why do people like this game so much? Don't make it about yourself. Make it about trying to understand why others like this game. And you sneaky bastard, it worked.
I certainly respond to visionaries, whether those are your Walt Disneys, your Chris Metzens, your Ben Broads, like someone getting up on stage and being impassioned by the product really moves me to actually invest in it. And that's basically what I forced you to do with the Yoshi P interviews. I just sit down, watch them, and you're like, oh, it's an hour. It's an hour and a half. I can't do it. Just do it.
I was watching one of them, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it like 10 minutes just to get a vibe. And I ended up watching almost the entire damn thing. It was legitimately interesting. The man has a really interesting personality. And since then, too, you mentioned the No Clip documentary. I just finished watching that.
Oh, cool.
Dear God, dude, I felt like I kind of understood where A Realm Reborn was starting off, like at the death of OG Final Fantasy XIV, but I didn't realize like it was that direct.
Yeah.
Like I feel informed of the mythos now around this MMO's success. So getting back to our kind of where we were personally coming to it from. I mean, you'd been playing it for what, almost 2 years already, right? Like very, very slowly.
Yeah, I mean, free trial allowed me to come and go as I will. I was playing pretty intense there in mid 2019, but when my son was born, I took time off MMOs because it's very grindy and kids are naturally a lot of hours. I was watching in 2021 here, Demon Slayer. I was thinking to myself, man, it'd be really fun to play like an anime video game. And I went out and I looked at a whole bunch of different ones. And eventually, after playing through Dragon Age, my buddy John was like, listen, if you want more RPG, go play Final Fantasy. So I fired it up. I walked around. I didn't remember my bar. So I was like level 22. I was right before the 1,000 Maws dungeon. And I was completely overwhelmed. So I went into the local inn and it started storming. And the lightning was flashing. I was like, this is some nice weather. It's actually got some darkness to it. I like that weather. And then someone came in a bard into this inn with nobody in it and started playing Sailor Moon. And it was such a magical moment. Like this bard practicing their layout of Sailor Moon, probably for the main city. I'm the only one sitting there. And I'm like, slash clap. And they're like, slash bow. And it just kind of stuck with me.
And I had heard those stories. I very recently, right before the Endwalker patch, had my first experience with like a bard playing songs that I knew. I was walking by the Crystal and Limsa, and I'm hearing all the small things play.
Nice.
I'm glad you kept poking, because I've ended up with a game that I really, really enjoy. And it came at a good time, and I'm surprised it took as much work from you as it did, considering how burnt out on World of Warcraft I was.
Well, and that's the thing, the burnout on WoW contributed to so many factors along with the scandals at Blizzard. It was just easier to give up on MMOs, but a lot like Dragon Age is a tactics game or Mass Effect is a tiny walls hide behind game. The gameplay is but a vessel for the story in those cases. You might not love tiny walls combat. You might not love Gears of War. You might not love The Division. But you put up with it for Mass Effect because it's part of that story. To me now, tab targeting doesn't feel like a old and moldy system. It's merely the vessel that Final Fantasy is using to tell its story.
Tab targeting is not an inherent turnoff for me, and I was flirting with other MMOs. So I spent some time with Elder Scrolls Online, which I really enjoy. There's a relaxation aspect of MMOs that is a big part of the appeal for me. And it's not to say that I think Elder Scrolls is difficult. It's just that the action orientation of its combat means I need to be more aware of what's going on. I've come back around to realizing that MMOs fulfill a very specific desire in my life to have a relaxing game experience. And part of that comes from tab targeting. But it also took me time to come to terms with the fact that I was burnout on World of Warcraft, really bad. Probably the worst since Warlords, which was up until now the last time I unsubbed. I know a lot of people were like, Battle for Azeroth, that was big. I actually really had a good time with BFA for the most part. Do not disagree with people who didn't love BFA, but I think I had some extraneous social circumstances that made it a much better experience for me. I was really excited for Shadowlands. Theming of going to a death realm was really exciting for me. And I think that combined with the fact that, I was on the Instance podcast, I was doing WoW Killer with Taliesin. I think that carried me through a little bit longer than I would have if naturally left to my own devices. If I was just playing the game and I wasn't making content about it, I think I would have realized just how much I didn't care anymore a lot sooner. I think it's the same thing with me starting to like Final Fantasy XIV. I stopped worrying so much about what I wanted the game to be and started just looking at it for what it was. And with World of Warcraft, I was like, you know what? I don't think where it is right now is for me. On the other side of that coin, kind of just taking Final Fantasy XIV at face value made me go, oh, you know what? If I kind of set aside a lot of my expectations, I was weirdly hung up on loading, for example, how much you loaded between zones.
Yeah.
Really in Final Fantasy XIV, but after a good solid, it was a weekend and I sat there with a soda I was in college again and I did a 5-hour session. I didn't even think about it anymore.
And I'm not bashing the gameplay by any means, but again, to me, it's this vessel. Pixel games have really taught me this. A pixel game can be extremely epic. Darkest Dungeon's art style is weird and chibi and kind of odd, particularly Darkest Dungeon 1, but it's a vessel for a disturbing Lovecraftian story, and that stuff begins to matter a lot, and you put emotions into those characters, much like you place your own emotions on top of our stoic, non-speaking Final Fantasy character.
Dude, that's such a great, I think, jumping off point to get into buying into Final Fantasy's world, the world of A Realm Reborn and everything that follows. Very quickly into me revisiting Final Fantasy XIV, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I like this gameplay loop. The combat's fun. It's familiar. It's bringing that relaxation that I was looking for in an MMO to kind of take the place of World of Warcraft. But what I was not expecting was to actually buy into the story. And I have been told millions of times, it actually has a good story. It has good lore. It has memorable characters. And I was like, yes, that's all fine. But I'm not a Final Fantasy player. I've played 10, and that's kind of it. This is whatever. They're not for me. But I do. I am sitting here now after having played the game regularly for almost 2 months. I care. I want to see where the story goes next.
It just keeps making promises. We keep meeting more and more characters, and we don't even know if they're important yet.
I think more importantly, it keeps delivering on those promises.
Right.
I was really impressed with like what a bow was tied on, at least the original credits of A Realm Reborn. Like all of the, the villains that we meet along the way that are constantly showing up and taunting you from the shadows. Like you face off with each and every one of them. And even like, it didn't matter how fast I was ferried through the Praetorium, I still felt really satisfied at the end of it in terms of like the closing of a chapter. I was expecting to like the game and think the story was just a nice little addition. But now I've like more and more, I find myself wanting to log in to see what happens next. And that's like, for me, probably my biggest surprise.
This game could be single player, but happens to allow you to hang out and watch a whole concert of Final Fantasy VI music if you want, being performed by the Dancing Pope. It's just, it is the open world experience that I personally was missing.
That is, I think, like that is the perfect storm that makes it, I think, the success that it has become. Is if you kind of divide it into two very, very basic chunks, which is like what is there from the developers and what is created by the community in game. Like those two things they're both really good, as it turns out. Like there's a really good story, there's really good gameplay mechanics and systems and content to enjoy. And then the community itself is just vibrant as can be. And that's another one of those things, like people told me time and time again, this is kind of my through line in today's episode, is like, I was told, I didn't listen. It turned out to be more true than I thought. It really is just one of the most vibrant in-game communities I have ever seen, certainly since Burning Crusade era World of Warcraft. It's always nice when hype lives up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the hype for me has certainly lived up. But we have been told in the comments that usually it's one or the other. You either burn out in A Realm Reborn or you become a walking advertisement for the game.
It does kind of sound like that. I feel like we just need to be critical for critical's sake, so we're not gushing or anything like that. But it is nice here heading towards the holidays to have such a hobby at hand.
Yeah, I like to try and look at all angles, but like at the end of the day, the TLDR and all of this is like, yes, Final Fantasy XIV is indeed a special game.
Well, and I'm feeling very strong about it, because I remember getting into Warlords of Draenor and them doing basically the Borderlands ripoff, if you want to call it. The boss would show up, they'd sort of slow-mo pause, they put the name on. I'm like, I can't wait to fight that guy. And I never did because I didn't raid. But I just went through the Crystal Tower. I just finished A Realm Reborn. Like, the game doesn't subvert your expectations. It's not going to do anything that's going to be particularly mind-blowing. You might even be able to slam dunk predict everything, which I'm very proud of. But it's really well done. And that reward that you paid attention and you get what you wanted out of it, but also it's really well done, is this perfect storm of enjoyment for me.
My expectations have been surpassed. And it's like I'm bought into my character, which again is like, I usually get pretty bought into my characters in MMOs, but I'm really, really attached to my Final Fantasy XIV character that I gave a really dumb name. And I'm not feeling bad about it. And now it's kind of charming and I laugh every time I log in.
Yeah.
Really attached to my my emo turquoise hair and my beautiful, beautiful face.
It's funny. I am one who constantly questions my character design until probably halfway through a BioWare game. But they gave me, when I completed, the base of Realm Reborn, that bottle that would let me completely change my appearance. And I can't do it. This is just who I am.
Oh, I didn't realize I had one of those sitting around.
Yeah, you got one in your inventory. If you would like to be a Catman, you can now do that, or anything if you sort of own all the expansions.
To talk about looking forward, it's really just that I am looking forward. I haven't been in love with the political arc of the Realm Reborn patches. Like every time I see people sitting around a table, I'm just like, here we go again. Give me another primal to fight, which apparently I'm about to go fight another primal. I'm back out in the Snowy Dragon area. Okay. And there's some nice creepy setup. I saw there was a weird zero setup cinematic where they showed a scary Pope guy.
Oh yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense yet.
No, it doesn't. Although I think I did just literally see a line of text where they're explaining that there's a bishop character, and I'm like, oh, there it is. There's that's probably who they're talking about. Like, it's another one of these like surprises, like where I'm suddenly really into like I can say primals and I know what it means. I've learned new vernacular, and also I'm excited to see more primals because so far none of them have disappointed. But a little bit ago I did the striking tree.
Omega Beard, yeah.
Oh yeah. I wanted to call him like ballsack beard because that's kind of what it looked like. But
It has an odd undulation.
what a fantastic character model! Like, he's just so over the top and wondrous. As much as I like wanted the goof on the beard, I also loved it. Like, absolutely loved the style of that character, and that whole arc getting in there was just delightfully dramatic. So more primals, please. More any summons. I think a couple episodes ago too, you said, oh, you enjoy King Moogle because the song is amazing, and you were not wrong.
Yes. Okay, excellent. I mean, you're a Tim Burton fan, so you know it's basically just a Nightmare Before Christmas song.
It hadn't crossed my mind, but yeah, you are once again correct, Kyle.
Absolutely outrageous, and what a fart off, an absolute fart off after the end of A Realm Reborn primary. Like, you're just, what? Where are we going? What am I doing here?
Listen, I will take that over the political intrigue mini arc for sure. Also, I was so excited to leave the Waking Sands. I'm like, yes, no more double loading. They just put you in a new double loading place.
Yeah, they do.
The area I think is cooler. I like that it's kind of a little like spookier and more desolate.
Right, it's classic castle. Yeah, a bit.
And I like that I have to go through a bar to get to the new hideout. Like, that's infinitely cooler to me. But I'm still like, could we just put Minfilia in the same goddamn room as everybody else, please?
I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's a product of the time. You can't summon pets in there either, so maybe it's just like got restrictions.
I'm sure there's got to be some sort of technical thing. I mean, almost every time you go in there's like a cinematic, and I wonder if it's just easier. I have no idea. That's probably my biggest pet peeve, and that again couldn't be higher praise. The fact that like just going to Minfilia's office is the thing that has consistently annoyed me in A Realm Reborn. I'll get past it. I won't get past it because I'll keep mentioning it, but I'm going to keep playing this game.
Fair enough. I'm really looking forward to unlocking some of the classes that I haven't been able to get yet. I really want to try Astrologian. That is like it's been memed as the Yu-Gi-Oh healer.
Oh boy!
And
you want to sell Kyle on anything? Just say Yu-Gi-Oh.
The idea of a card drawing class and having that be some sort of random element, I really don't know what the gameplay's like, but you can dig up a tweet where I said, if I play Final Fantasy seriously, I will play Astrology. And that was like in June, before I actually got heavily back into this. I've read a lot about them. I have no idea how it plays. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I went and unlocked the Red Mage this past weekend, and it was just like, here the bar. The whole 50 bar, just one pile, bonus buttons and all.
Yeah, Red Mage was the second class I went to go pick up because a lot of folks recommended it in the comments, and it does sound cool. And as soon as it gave me my bar, I was like, I'm going to go right back to Summoner. This is scary.
It is. And the guy you're chilling with is like, hey, just balance the magics, bro. Also fight with me. I have no idea how to balance these magics. I don't know what buttons spend what. The tool tips are equally as confusing. I got to go find a guide if I really want to invest in that. But
yeah, that's been because then I also went and got Samurai, which I'm significantly more interested in, and I think was a lot more approachable out the gate. But I did spend a little more time reading up about it. But I need to find a good resource that has not max level guides. It seems like it's really easy to find like level 80 guides and above. Are we above level 80? I don't even know what the new cap is.
I think we're 90. Yeah.
Are we 90? Okay. I haven't looked into it. I've really been taking heed from commenters that are just like, don't worry about looking too far ahead. Just enjoy where you're at and take it slow. And so I'm like, what's happening in Heaven or in Endwalker? I have no idea. And it's really liberating. That's another thing I've really been digging about the game. But yeah, Samurai is cool. I really like the intro quest to that. I think I'll probably go back and dabble with it, but I do have this pull to the story, even though, again, I'm still in the middle of Realm Reborn patches and it's not my favorite. But I think, if you listen to the last few episodes, I talked about how I was kind of still feeling this pull to I want to get into higher stuff. I'm still feeling pulled to want to level through the stories, but it's no longer because I feel this great need to get to what I quote unquote end game. I'm still thinking about it like World of Warcraft. Now I just feel this pull because I just really want to see the story continue. So I still just kind of want to play through the story and not spend too much time flirting around with other jobs. But Black Knight is, I think, become the number one thing at the top of my list that I want to go try when I get to the point. I don't believe I can start it yet. But yeah, I want to play Black Knight. That's at the tip top of my want to play it list.
Yeah, I'm really interested in all the other tanks, Black Knight included. I'd love to find a DPS. I, of course, just want to do Reaper, but there's going to be like a million of them for a very long time. And I like being special. So even if I was high enough to take part in that class, I don't think I would quite yet. Man, there's some cool abilities in there. Oh, like you summon a shadow that attacks for you, and then you can be enveloped in the shadow and become one with it. You got a big old scythe. Just cool.
It is, and yeah, that's the now I like the look of Final Fantasy XIV. I think because I've become invested in this world, I am now invested in the style and the look of it. And something I used to back growing up, my friends who were playing Final Fantasy games, I always joke. We're just oh yeah, your belts and your buckles game, enjoy.
Oh yeah, Titus's pants made no sense, and the monsters had too many horns, and they were all curly.
Titus's pants make no sense. Auron is really cool looking, and Lulu is too hot. That's all you need to know about Final Fantasy X.
Lulu was the yellow bikini one?
No, Lulu was the goth.
Oh, right, with the shoulders. With the shoulders, yeah, okay. There's a very powerful thing that I refer to in Dungeons and Dragons as mental graphics. It is there is investment involved. It is more powerful to show a D&D player a picture of a lion, a dragon, and a snake and say there's a chimera than show them a picture of a chimera. When your brain puts it together and you overlay the importance onto it, it looks way better than it did before. And we were doing that with World of Warcraft. We had investment. The graphics looked better in our minds because we were moving through them. Personally, I think every MMO looks bad on a stream. I think
if you're completely unfamiliar with it, I don't think really MMO sells well just by looking at it.
Yeah.
It's something I think you really have to experience yourself. But yeah, man, this has just been a fun ride. This has been a really, really fun ride. For folks that, if this is your first time being introduced to Kyle and myself, we've been doing video game podcasting for 11 years. This is our 11th year working together, making content, but we have typically made audio content, doing podcasts. We used to talk about StarCraft. We still have a podcast where we talk about Heroes of the Storm. This has been an experience unlike anything else, and I'm really excited to continue it and get into it in the new year. And my goal is we're going to be taking next week off, enjoying the holidays. Over the holiday break, I want to wrap up A Realm Reborn and have a chat about that probably as our next video. This is not set in stone, but this is where my head's at. But I'm just really excited to see where it goes, because the reaction to us starting to make Final Fantasy XIV videos, it really has just been great. The meanest thing anyone says that you just keep yelling copium at me whenever I say anything positive about World of Warcraft. Copium. We've got copium here. And that's fine. Other than that, it's just been I haven't had experience like this in a really, I think, ever. I've been told the Final Fantasy XIV community is very kind. And again, the theme of this video, I was told I didn't listen and my expectations were exceeded. That's definitely what happened with the community as well. People seem to dig this. Some of our best performing videos are where we just sit here and kind of talk about our experience with the game. And typically that sort of stuff doesn't perform well in my experience making content. So I think it's really cool, because it's one of my favorite things in this world is to sit down with you, dude, because we've been friends a long time, and just pick your brain about what you're enjoying in games, and getting to experience this alongside you through Final Fantasy XIV and make these videos. It's just been a really rewarding experience. I just want to fight with you about dungeons as we move it around a fake wall that we made in Photoshop.
Absolutely. It's been great having something of this level to share, not only with you, but with the community, and be a part of something again in gaming. It feels like it's been a really long time.
In an MMO space, for sure. I've had my friends and I had my communities in World of Warcraft, but yeah, this feels like fresh and new, and I don't know, like I'm in the middle of a community that's just so much larger than I can really fathom, which is a feeling I haven't had in other MMOs in quite a while. So it's been really cool. And so to our new subscribers, people who are experiencing us for the first time, and kind of just the Final Fantasy 14 community, like, thanks for hanging, and thanks for, like, at least from me, because you had more knowledge coming into this, Kyle, but I've been guided a lot by the comments. So thank you very much for, like, getting in there and being like, oh, you should try this, or this is how you can make your gameplay a little bit better. And thank you very much to everyone who went out of your way to be like, don't feel like you need to rush. Just calm down and enjoy the ride. I would never categorize myself as a calm person. I am enjoying the ride. So anyways, it's going to wrap it up for this one. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Get one over on the algorithm. You're going to get the latest uploads from us. You won't miss them if you get those notifications. And we have new uploads every Wednesday morning. The big exception being we're taking next week off before the holidays. I hope everyone has a great break. To get in touch with us personally, my Twitter's Garrett Art, and Kyle's is Kyle Ferguson. So until next time, good luck, have fun, and Happy New Year.
Take care.